JavaScript.com. And if you like this video, don't forget to smash the like button and share this video with as many people as you can. And if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, do it and press that notification bell too, so that you don't miss any of my videos. So without any delay, let's get started. And today we are going to do the ultimate, the awesome JavaScript. And in JavaScript, we are going to do the ultimate awesome chapter. That is the chapter version ES5, the ES5 version. So we are going to learn about the ES5 version. And in this, we are going to learn that what features, the main features of ES5, the main features that came in ES5. Okay. So without any delay, let's get started. This chapter is very interesting and very exciting, but it would be quite long. So no worries, we have to learn it. So let's get started. I'll go to Google Chrome and I have already opened the chapter. Okay. So ECMAScript 2009 or ES5. So ECMAScript 2009, also known as ES5. So ECMAScript 2009 is also known as ES5, was the first major revision to JavaScript. So it was the first major revision to JavaScript. Okay, the second major revision to JavaScript was ES6, but the first major revision to JavaScript is ES5 that was launched after 10 years of launching ES3. So it was launched, ES3 was launched in 1999 and ES5 was launched in 2009. So after 10 years of ES3's launch, ES5 was launched. And there is no ES4. I told you in my versions video, my last versions video. Okay, so this chapter describes the most important features of ES5. So in this chapter, we are going to know about the most important features of JavaScript. Of ES5. So ES5 features, the most important features are here. The use strict. Okay, the strict mode came in ES5. Before ES5, in ES3 or ES2 or ES1, there was no use strict. And you must be raising the question, why is use strict a string literal? So here's the answer to it. Use strict is a string literal because the makers of use strict wanted that if the older browsers don't support use the strict mode, then they will ignore this use strict line because it is just a string literal. Okay. Then string.trim. This is also a really important method. Then array.isArray. In ES5, array.isArray came. All the array iteration methods that include array.forEach, array.map, array.filter, array.reduce, array.reduceWrite, array.every, and array.sum, array.indexOf, and array.lastindexOf came in ES5. Then two important JSON methods, that are JSON.parse and JSON.stringify, came in ES5. Then date.now came, another very important method of the date, for the date. Then getters and setters. So these are very interesting, getters and setters. So getters and setters came. New object property methods came. So finally new object property methods came. Okay, now we are here. ES5 syntactical changes. Property access on strings. So in this we had property access on strings. What do you mean by property access by strings? Like if we have a string, okay, we have a string like hello world, and we want to access the 0th element. We want to see what is the 0th element of the string. Then we can access it like an array using the string, the variable name, and in brackets 0. So the 0th element h will come if the string is hello world. Then trailing commas in array and object literals. So like before ES5, you could not end like an array with a comma, okay, or an object with a comma. Like after the last element of an array or after the last key and value pair of an object, you could not give an comma, else it would give an error in ES3, ES2 or ES1. But from ES5, we can end an array or an object with commas, with a comma, not commas, a comma. Multi-line string literals. So we can have multi-line string literals. Before we could not have multi-line string literals, but now we have multi-line string literals from ES5. And reserve words as property names. So the reserve words that were there were changed to property names. So now we are here. The useStrict directives. So what was the directive of useStrict? useStrict defines that the JavaScript code should be executed in strict mode. So useStrict defines that the JavaScript code that you write should be executed in strict mode. And like in useStrict, we have some extra checks. Like for example, one check includes not use undeclared variables. We cannot use undeclared variables when we are in strict mode. Like we can't just declare a variable, like for example not giving the var keyword or the let keyword or the const keyword. Okay, we have to add these. For example, if you don't have a variable named str, okay, and you are in strict mode and you do str is equals to like hello world, okay, if you do str is equals to hello world, then what will happen? In strict mode it will not work, it will give an error. You will first have to define the variable and then only you can use it. You can use strict mode in all your programs. It helps you to write cleaner code, like preventing you from using undeclared variables. So this is the main feature of useStrict, that it prevents you from using undeclared variables. useStrict is just a string expression. So as I told you, it is just a string literal. Old browsers will not throw an error if they don't understand it, because it is just a string literal. They will ignore it. Okay, so this was strict mode. Do check out my strict mode video that I made, because it is very important. You will get to know a lot more about useStrict in that strict mode video. So now we are on string.trim. String.trim removes white space from both sides of a string. So like you see, there are so many white spaces in here. But string.trim will remove all these white spaces from here and here, and we will have just text that is over here. Okay. So like if you tried yourself, run it. So we will have to use this. We will have to give the variable name, that is str, and .trim, that will trim the variable. Run. Try it. Hello world. There are no spaces. There are no spaces around it. Okay. So this is what string.trim does. Now we have array.isArray. This is a very important method. So the isArray method checks whether an object is an array. So when you use type of, it if your variable is an array, then also it will return object because it returns arrays as object also. So I'll just explain you what I meant. So if I give over here like type of fruits, if I give type of fruits over here, run this, then I press try it, it will return an object, though this is an array, because it returns arrays and objects as an object. But in array.isArray, what we will do is we will write array.isArray, and in that we will give a variable. If it is an array, then it will return true, else it will return false. So like it is an array, so it has returned true. But if I give like just a string literal over here, or just I give a number, it will return false. I'll give a string literal, it will return false. So if it is an array, then only it will return true, the array.isArray method. Now we are on array.forEach. The forEach method calls a function once for each array element. So the forEach method will call a function for each array element, for 45, 4, for 9, for 16, for 25, all the array elements. Okay, so this is not in quite detail. So all the array methods, array iteration methods, okay, all these array iteration methods are not in detail over here. So what I will do, I'll just go on array iteration methods chapter, and in this chapter we will get to know about all the array iteration methods, and then we will go back to the ES5 chapter and learn more about the other stuff, not the iteration methods, because we would have learned iteration methods from this chapter. So array iteration methods operate on every array item. So array.forEach, the forEach method calls a function, a callback function, once for each array element. So it will like the forEach method will call this function, my function, for 45 also, for 4 also, for 9 also, for 16 also, and for 25 also. Okay, and it has three values: the array, that will give the original array, the index, that will give us the index, and the value, that will give us 45, 4, 9, 16, 25. Index will give us like 0, 1, 2, 3, the index of the array element, and array will directly give us the whole array. Okay, so in this example, what this person is doing, he has a string, and in that he is bringing all the array elements. So like he is adding the value of the array elements over here. So if you try it over here, this is the string, because we are printing txt, the string, the variable name is txt. Okay, so if we run this, we are adding a br also. Br means leaving a line, that's why it is leaving a line. Now let's read this for each method in detail. Note that the function takes three arguments: the item value, the item index, and the array itself. So this array will be the whole array. The index will give the element that you are working on, its index, and value, it will give the value. Okay, the example above uses the value parameter. The example can be rewritten to this also, like you can remove the index part and the array part. Okay, because we are not using it over here in this example. So array.forEach is supported in all browsers instead of Internet Explorer 8 or earlier. So array.forEach is supported in Chrome all versions, Firefox all versions, Safari all versions, Opera all versions, and from Edge or Internet Explorer 9.0. Now we are on array.map. So now we are on array.map. The map method creates a new array by performing a function on each array element. So it performs a function on each array element, but it creates a new array also. Over here, it didn't create a new array, but over here, it is creating a new array. The map method does not execute the function for array elements without values. Let's read this line again. The map method does not execute the function for array elements without values. So this map method will not execute the function for element without values. For example, you give comma, like I'll just show you the example. So for example, you give comma over here and then you give comma over here. So it will not execute the function for this part and for this part because this does not this does not have a value. This does not have a value. Okay. So it will not execute the function. Thirdly, the map method does not change the original array. So the map method will never change the original array. This example multiplies each array value by 2. So what this is doing is, like, here's a numbers 1, okay? Then here we have a variable numbers 2. In this, we are like calling the map method on this array, and on every element we will run the my function, and in my function we have value, index and array properties. What we say them arguments. I just forgot. So it has 3 arguments: value, index and array, and in it is returning value into 2. So it will directly push the value into 2 in the new array that it creates. Note the function takes 3 arguments. So it is taking these 3 arguments. When a callback function uses only the value parameter, the index and array parameters can be omitted. So like if we are only using the value parameter, so if we remove these also, then also it will work completely fine. Array.map is supported in all browsers except Internet Explorer 8 or earlier. Okay. Now we are on array.filter. Okay. So these all the array iteration methods came in ES5. All the array iteration methods. I'll just have a sip of water. Okay. So array.filter. The filter method creates a new array with array elements that passes a test. So the filter method creates a new array with the array element that passes the test. So it tests something, and if it passes the test, it will add that element in the new array that it creates. So this example creates a new array from elements with a value larger than 18. So like the filter method checks that the element of an array passes a test or not. If it passes the test, it will add that element in a new array. But if it does not pass in that test, it will not add it in the new array that it creates. So like over here we have variable numbers 45, 4, 9, 16, 25, and here we generate another variable. In this there's a new array generated. We are running this function on each element of the numbers array using the filter method. In the filter method we are checking this value is greater than 18. So like in this array most probably we will have 45 and 25. Okay, so we can omit these also because we are not using this in the method. Let's try it. 45 and 25. So it has 45 and 25 in it. This over 18 has 45 and 25. So note that the function takes three arguments: the item value, the item index, and the array itself. In the example above, the callback function does not use the index and array parameters, so they can be omitted. So like I told you, they can be omitted. Okay, we don't need to try it. Array.filter is supported in all browsers except Internet Explorer 8 or earlier. Okay, now we are on array.reduce. I'll just take another sip of water. Okay, so the reduce method runs a function on each array element to produce a single value. So what does it mean? So like produce a single value. So we will understand it more like down. The reduce method works from left to right in the array. See also reduce right. The reduce method does not reduce the original array. So it does not reduce the original array. It creates a new array. This example finds the sum of all the numbers in an array. So what this is saying is the reduce method runs a function on each array element to produce a single value. So it produces a single value. Okay, it does not like change the original array. Like it creates it does not create a new array. It produces a single value. Okay, so like over here in this example finds the sum of all numbers in an array. So like the answer should be 45 plus 4, 49. 49 plus 9 is 58. 58 plus 16, 68, 74. 74 plus 25, 84, 94, 99. The answer should be 99. And in this, we have a total argument also. So in the total argument, by default, the total argument's value is 0. Okay, but whenever we add a value to the total, it adds it. So like it is a predefined variable. Sum is 99. So like this sum is in the sum, the total value is coming. So like note the function take 4 arguments: the total, the initial value, previously returned value. So this is the total is the return value. So like in total we are adding all these and then we are returning total. So it is like that, and in sum the total value comes and it is 99. The item value, the item index, and the array itself. The example above does not use the index and array parameters, so it can also be rewritten to. So like it does not use index and array, right? So you can just remove these. It will work the same. Okay. The reduce method can accept an initial value also. So let's try this. This is interesting. So what is the this initial value will represent the total value. So instead from 0, the total value as default will be 100. And like over here, for the first element, 45 would be, the value is 45, that's why 45 would be added to 100, as total's default value is 100. So it would be 145 in starting. Okay, so we can set total's value as default in starting also. Okay, now array.reduce is supported in all browsers except Internet Explorer 8 or earlier. Now we are on array.reduce write. Okay, so what does this do is, like, it is the same as reduce, but like reduce, when we add something, it goes from left to right, but now it is going from right to left. So this can be helpful in subtracting stuff or like dividing stuff, but it won't be helpful enough in like multiplying or adding stuff. So it is like almost the same thing, but it starts from right to left. It starts from right and goes to left, and it is the same thing. Okay, so it was just the same thing, but still we can just try it. So like when we are subtracting it, minus 49 comes, but when we use reduce over here, minus 9 comes. So there will be a change of result if you subtract or divide. Now we are on array.every. The every method check if all array values pass a test. Okay, the example check if all array values are larger than 18. So here it would be false, because like 4, 9 and 16 are not greater than 18. So let's try it yourself. All over 18 is false, so it returns true or false. Okay, in every we return true or false. It's like in every it checks that all the array items are above like any check. Okay, all the array items, all the array values pass a test. So it checks that all array values pass a test or not. If yes, then it returns true, else it returns false. Note that the function takes 3 arguments: item value, item index, and array itself. When a callback function uses the first parameter only, the value parameter, the other parameters can be omitted. So the other parameters, index and array, can be omitted and it would work the same. Array.every is supported in all browsers except Internet Explorer 8 or earlier. Okay. Now we are on the array.sum method. The sum method check if some array values pass a test. This example checks if some array values are larger than 18. So like if one of them is also larger than 18, then it will pass the test. Okay, so like it will return true, else it will return false. Let's try. So like if one of the values also pass the like are greater than 18 over here, then sum over 18 will be true. So note that the function takes 3 arguments: the item value, the item index, and the array itself, that we know. Array.sum is supported in all browsers except Internet Explorer 8 or earlier. Okay, so now we are on array.indexOf. So the indexOf method searches an array for an element value and returns its position. So note the first item has position 0, the second item has position 1, and so on. So like if you do fruits.index of apple, so if you give that element, then it will check on in the whole array, okay, and whatever will be the first occurrence, it will return its index. So we are checking index of apple, and a is given over here. Apple is found in position 0, and if we removed apple from here, it is found in position 1 because this is 0, this is 1. Okay. Syntax is array. Sorry. First, array.indexOf is supported in all browsers except Internet Explorer 8 or earlier. Okay. Then the syntax of it is array. So we will give the array over here. Then the index of, then the item, and then the start. This start parameter or argument is optional. Item is required, the item to search for, okay, but start is optional, where to start the search. Okay, so over here you can give in the start you can give so from where you have to start the search from. Okay, then the array.indexOf returns -1 if the item is not found. If the item is not found, it returns -1. If the item is present more than once, it returns the position of the first occurrence. Okay. Now we are on array.lastIndexOf. Array.lastIndexOf is the same as array.indexOf, but returns the position of the last occurrence of the specified element. Okay, so over here this searches the array for the item apple. So like we are searching apple, it will return this element's position because it will see for the last occurrence of what you search. Okay, so it will return position 3 because this is 0, 1. Oh, this is confusing us, right? This plus position 2 because this is 0, this is 1, and this is 2, so it comes in position 2. Array.lastIndexOf is supported in all browsers except Internet Explorer 8 or earlier. Its syntax is array, so the array name, lastIndexOf method, the item, and the start. The start is optional, as I told you. Item is required, the item to search for. Start is optional, where to start the search. So you can give where to start the search. Negative values will start at the given position, counting from the end and search to the beginning. Okay. Now we are on array.find, and then we will do array.findIndex, and the array iteration methods will be completed, and then we can move on with ES5 again. So this is also in ES5. Okay, array.find. I'll just have a sip of water again. Okay. The find method returns the value of the first array element that passes a test function. So the find method returns the value of the first array element that passes a test function. This example finds or returns the value of the first element that is larger than 18. So it will return 25 because it is the first element that is larger than 18 over here in this example. Sorry. first number over 18 is 25. So we can omit these two because we are not using them in the function, and it will work the same. Okay, let's continue. Note that the function takes three arguments: the item value, the item index, and the array itself. Array.find is supported in older browsers. The first browser versions with full support is listed below. So for Chrome 45 is not supported. Array.find is not supported in older browsers. Okay, so Chrome 45 and and more versions support array.find. Edge 12 and more versions support it. Firefox 25 and the next versions of it supported. Safari 8 and the further versions of it supported, and Opera 32. From Opera 32 till the last version of Opera, array.find is supported. Now we are on array.find index. The find index method returns the index of the first array element that passes a test function. Okay, in find index it returns the index, but in find it returns the value. So these are two different things. This example finds the index of the first element that is larger than 18. It will return 0, 1, 2, 3. It will return 3 because at the third position, so because it starts from 0, at the third position the value is greater than 18. So it will return 3. Okay, has index 3. Okay, so we can omit these two because we are not using them, and we are running it and it is working perfectly fine. Note that the function takes three arguments: the item value, the item index, and the array itself. Array.find index is not supported in older browsers. The first browser versions with full support is listed below. So Chrome 45, Edge 12, and further versions, Firefox 25 and further versions, Safari 8 and further versions, and Opera 32 and further versions support array.find index. So now we can go back to the ES5 chapter, and we have done all the array iteration methods. Okay, now we are on JSON. So JSON.parse. A common use of JSON is to receive data from a web server. Imagine you receive this text string from a web server. So this text string we receive, let's imagine that we receive it from a web server. The JavaScript function JSON.parse is used to convert this text into a JavaScript object. So using the JSON.parse method, we can convert this text string to a JavaScript object. So if we try it, it is a JavaScript object. And to test it, let's test it by doing type of, checking its type of obj. Object. Object is coming, that means it is an object. So now we are on JSON.stringify. A common use of JSON is to send data to a web browser. So as in JSON we receive data as well as we send data. When sending data to a web server, the data has to be a string. We can't just send a object of JavaScript to a web server. We have to make it a string and then we have to send it to the web server. Imagine we have this object in JavaScript. So we have this object. Use the JavaScript function json.stringify to convert it into a string. So like we can use json.stringify to convert this into a string. The result will be a string following the JSON notation. So it will follow the JSON notation, not the JavaScript notation. So my JSON, as over here, is now a string and ready to be sent to a server. So it is a string. It is printing. It does not print objects. It only prints strings. Read more in our JSON tutorial. Now we are on date.now. So date.now returns the number of milliseconds since zero date. Okay, so it returns the number of milliseconds since zero date. January 1, 1970, 0000 UDC. So like over here it is like this. If we do this, like every second it changes. Every second this number will change. Like you see, every second it is changing. You see? And it is printing it 2 times because we are printing date.now and d.getTime. So instead of like using date.now, we can also do like we can create a new date variable, and then we can use its variable name and get time to get the same result as date.now. So you see, okay, now we have completed date.now and we are on one of the most interesting topics of this chapter, that is property getters and setters. So ES5 lets you define object methods with a syntax that looks like getting or setting a property. This example creates a getter for a property called full name. So like we are giving like get full name, return this dot first name plus space plus this dot last name. So what this will do, this is a getter function and the name only suggests that we can bring something from it, and we are bringing the full name using this getter function, and we can access the getter function like a normal property, like an object property. So this is quite cool, isn't it? This example creates a setter and a getter for the language property. So let's see. You see, in this, how does the setter work? We know how does the getter work, okay? But let's see how does the setter work. The setter works like we're giving a value argument over here. Okay, so the argument, this argument's value will come by using equals to and here. So if I give like in this, we are doing this dot language is equals to value, right? So we are changing the language. If I give like something else, it will give that, because it is like this value is going over here. So like we are passing it. We like, as we can access the setter and getter as a normal object property, we have to pass any like this. We have to pass values like this. So like equals to for whatever you want. So I hope you understand. Let me explain it once again. So in this setter function, we are creating a setter function, and its name is lang. This dot language is equals to value. In this we will give this dot language equals to value, and to call the setter we are doing person.language equals to en, so it will set language as en because we have set it using the setter function. So this example uses a setter to secure uppercase updates of language. So this example over here, let's see the example. So in this we are defining a setter function language value, this dot language and value dot to uppercase. Okay, and like this is quite sensible. So en is coming like this because in the setter function, we are not like giving just value. We are not just saving value. We are saving value dot to uppercase. So we will do it uppercase and then save it. Learn more about getters and setters in JS object accessors. So we will go to this chapter in some other video. But let's focus on ES5. Now we are on our final part, the new object property methods. So we were on this in this list. The final part was the new object property methods. So we have covered a long part. Okay, so this is this much, mostly examples only. So here we will see property access on strings, how to do property access. Then we'll learn about trailing commas, string over multiple lines, and then reserve words as property names. And then this chapter is finished. Okay, so let's concentrate on new object property methods. So object.define property is a new object method in ES5. So object.define property is a new object method in ES5. It lets you define an object property and or change a property's value and or metadata. So metadata is all this writable, true, enumerable and configurable. All it's like what we say metadata. It lets you define an object property, okay, or change a property's value and or metadata. So example, we have created an object over here. Then we are doing object.define property, the person object, and we are changing the property language. In it we are doing value, we are changing its value first of all. Second of all, we are doing we are changing metadata, that is writable true. We are doing enumerable also true and configurable also true. Okay, and now in the end we are enumerating properties. So we are creating a variable text and we are doing for x in person. So for in loop it returns an index. Okay, so it gives the index. So like x is we are creating a var x in person. Okay, so in arrays it returns index, but in objects it returns the keys. It gives the keys. So like text plus equals to person x, so like person first name plus br, and then we are writing it. So en is also coming. So like if we see over here, what is the value of x? So x would be first name, last name and language. So the keys, first name, last name and language. Next example is the same code except it hides the language property from enumeration. So like if it is enumerable false, I opened the calculator by mistake, sorry. So like, yeah, if it is enumerable false, then what will happen? We cannot print it using the for in loop. So this is like a thing that if we set enumerable false, we will not be able to print the value of language in a for in loop. So as it is happening over here. Enumerable is false and we are not able to print the language's value using the for in loop. But like if we like try to print it like orally, like person language, then it will print it. So like yeah, I was just like going to tell you that if the enumerable is false, then we cannot see this value by any ways. Okay, and if enumerable is true, one second. Oh yeah. So what am I doing here? I can't do this. So like whenever I have to print txt over here, what am I saying? Yeah, so whenever enumerable is true, we will be able to see the language properties value, okay, using the for in loop. But whenever it is false, whenever enumerable is not true, it is false, then it will not be able to add the language value in txt because enumerable is false. By default, enumerable is true. Sorry for all that fumbling before, but now it is clear. This example, now another example, creates a setter and a getter to secure uppercase updates of language. So like here we are creating a getter of language, here we are creating a getter and we are returning language. In setter, we are creating a setter of language and value, and then language is equal to value dot to uppercase, so it will be converted to uppercase over here. And person dot language we are setting en, and because of two uppercase it will be a capital En. And if we try to show person dot language, it will show En. So before, what I told you is that whenever enumerable is false, I told you that we will not be able to see it using the for in loop, but we will be able to see it orally like this. So like if I do person dot language, it would work. En would come. But if enumerable is false, then in a for in loop we will not be able to see it, but normally we will be able to. Okay, so and I told you about this getter and setter method that I explained you. So ES5 added a lot of new object methods to JavaScript. So like it added object.define property that we learned just now, adding or changing an object property. In this you have three: object, property and descriptor. Descriptor is like all this part, descriptor is this part. Okay, object.define properties, this is quite complex, so we are not going to work on this. Then get on property descriptor is also complex, so we are not doing anything with this also. Object.get on property names, so we will give object and it will bring the property names. Okay, so this was made in ES5. Object.keys, object, so it will returns enumerable properties as an array. So it returns innumerable properties as an array. Okay, so like if you want to test this, so like I'll just test this also. I'll just have to do get on property names. Sorry, get on, let's see over here, get on property names, get on property names, and we just have to give the object and then sorry, we don't have to do this. We have to show, so like like to where something is equals to this is a funny name, but something, so all the keys names is coming. Now we have object.keys. So let's test this method. What does keys method do? Keys. So it also gives us the keys of it, keys of the objects, all the keys of the objects, enumerable properties in an array. So this is an array. It is showing it in an array. Then get prototype of, let's try get prototype of, get prototype of. So it returns object. Okay, accessing the prototype. So this is the prototype. Sorry. Then object.prevent extensions. So this prevents adding properties to an object. This prevents adding properties to an object. Okay, so now we can't add properties to an object. And before this get prototype of, in this get prototype of, I was doing something over here. So it is returning the object type. So like it is returning the object and it is showing object. So like in get prototype of, we're just accessing the prototype and we are not doing nothing else. In prevent extensions, now in using prevent extensions, we will now we will not be able to add properties to the object. And object.is extensible, it will return true if properties can be added to an object. Okay, but right now it will return false because object properties can't be added to the object. Object.seal, yeah, prevents change of object properties, not values. Okay, we can't change object properties, not values. We can. Okay, returns true if the object is sealed. Object.is sealed returns true if the object is sealed. Object.freeze prevents any changes to an object. And object.is frozen returns true if the object is like frozen. Okay, so we have done the new object property methods. Now we are on property access on strings. So the caret method returns the character at a specified index in a string. So like if we have a string hello world and we do string.caret 0, so the 0th character is h, so it will return h. So we don't need to try it. ES5 also ES5 allows property access on strings. So instead of using char@, method, we can just do str0 and it will return us h. So this is property access, like giving the variable string name, then giving brackets and the position, and it will return whatever there is at that position. Okay. Property access on string is might be a little unpredictable. Read more in JString methods. Okay, so let's focus on ES5 first. We can read JString methods in some other video, but first let's focus on this ES5. Now, trailing commas. ES5 allows trailing commas in object and array definitions. So like over here we can give after the last key value pair, we can give a comma and it will not give an error, but before ES5 it used to give an error. And an array example is like this, comma. Warning, Internet Explorer will crash. Internet Explorer 8 will crash. JSON does not allow trailing commas. JSON does not allow trailing commas and Internet Explorer 8 will crash because it does not support trailing commas. So JSON objects are this is allowed in JSON objects, that no trailing comma, but this is not allowed in JSON objects, this trailing comma. JSON arrays, this is allowed, but this trailing comma array is not allowed in JSON. So now we are on strings over multiple lines. ES5 allows string literals over multiple lines if escaped with a backslash. So if we give a backslash and then go on another line, then it allows us to like work on multiple lines. So let's try it. But it will come in one line only. It will print in one line only, but it allows us to work in multiple lines if we give backslash. So like if the string is getting too lengthy, then we can use this to keep our code neat. The backslash method might not have universal support. Older browsers might treat the spaces around the backslash differently. Some older browsers do not allow spaces behind the backslash character. So let's we should be careful. A safer way to break up a string literal is to use addition. So this is a much more better, safer way. Like you give this a space, addition operator, and then dolly. So this is much more safe. Now reserve words as property names. ES5 allows reserve words as property names. Oh, so this is the meaning of this. Like new is a reserve word, okay, but we can use it as a property name in objects. Okay, object. This is an object example. Okay, so let's try it, and it is working fine. It is working fit and fine. So browser support for ES5, Chrome 23, Internet Explorer 10 and Safari 6 were the first browsers to fully support ES5. So Chrome 23 started supporting ES5 in 2012, and after 3 years of its launch, Internet Explorer 10 or Edge started supporting it in also September 2012. After 3 years of its launch, Firefox 21 started supporting it from April 2013 after 4 years of its launch. Safari 6 started supporting it from July 2012 and that is after 3 years of its launch, and Opera 15 started supporting it it in July 2013, that is after 4 years after its launch. So the chapter is completed. Thank you guys. If you like the video, don't forget to smash that like button and share this video with as many people as you can. And if you're not subscribed to my channel yet, do it. And press that notification bell too so that you don't miss any of my videos. Thank you guys. Bye. Stay safe, stay healthy, and please subscribe to my channel too.